is Amina.
My name is Lena. I'm 24. Just moved back to the city of Pittsburgh, and we're here to talk about some exciting stuff.
I'm Syndey D. I am the owner of Nipplets. It's a hat that I print my painted nipple onto. So that's what it's embellished with. You can find that on Instagram at Miss Print.
Sexuality is something that, it shouldn't be the forefront of who you are, because I feel like we're so many other things before our sexuality.
But also, I think being a Black woman, like, we're already kind of like sexualized in a way from our bodies, the way we act and whatnot. So I feel like subconsciously I might alter the way I present myself in certain, atmospheres and whatnot, just so I could, I guess, be the way accepted more so.
Yeah, I never feel like it's like I never feel like I need to like really announce like my sexuality in any like type of way. I feel like it definitely influenced how I want to be portrayed, like within our race or just within like the dating realm as a whole. But I don't think I need to be like, oh, I'm straight or I'm gay or whatever.
I guess if you were like gay or straight, it could be part of your identity, especially if you're Black, because maybe you're representing that sect. And maybe if that's important to you, like, okay, I'm Black and I'm gay, then I'm all for it. But I feel like, if that's not at the forefront of how you portray yourself, then I don't think it's that important if you don't feel like it's, a definer.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like super proud of what they are. I think that's super cool to like be that proud to announce it. Just me personally, I don't feel like I need to like make a statement. I just feel like I'm more, and I don't want to limit the relationships I have. So it's just like, if we vibe, and then whatever level that goes on to. But I don't feel like I need to like pronounce that or be defined by it. So.
I know for me, like, growing up, I think it was until I was 17, my mom didn't let me wear a two-piece bathing suit. She didn't let me wear, like, overly excessive large hoop earrings. I couldn't wear clothes that were too tight, even though I was always somewhat slim, on the slimmer side.
Mm-hmm.
She was just, really adamant about me presenting myself a certain way in society, because she's like, there's always grown men who are going to call you out on you, in the street, or you're around your family members, you're around boys in your family. You don't want to be like putting yourself out there to be, to have them think a certain way about you. But yeah, she definitely made sure that I didn't, present myself in a certain way.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I would say having knowledge on growing up being biracial and being on my mother's side of the family and my father's side of the family, and my father's side is Black. I feel like they were always very like embedding in our head to do the opposite of being don't be too fast, or don't be too this, and don't provoke this, and you're gonna tempt somebody to do this. But on my mom's side, where it was my white family, like, nobody ever stressed it. It was just however you dress was how you express yourself, and nobody was being attacked or constantly like, oh, you look sexy, or you like this, trying to push up on you. It was just inappropriate. And not to say that that's defining of a Black or a white culture. That was just my experience. It was just like, nobody was telling me how to act, or, oh, don't do this in front of so-and-so. That might tempt them to do this. I think that my Black side of the family was definitely more protective of that, very like, make sure you do this so you can avoid this situation, because we're more vulnerable to it.
Yeah, because I feel like, as Black girls, I feel like we're definitely more vulnerable, because whenever, older men see us, they're like, oh, maybe she doesn't have someone to protect her. She doesn't have someone looking after her. She doesn't have someone checking to see what time she's coming home at night. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's the reason why we are attacked. But I remember same thing. Like, I remember one day I came home I came home and my dad threw away all my tube tops, all my rompers, all my stuff like that.
You telling me that.
And like I was going to Kennywood one time, and my guy friend, he asked my guy friend, he was like, "Do you think it's okay if she dresses like that? Do you think that's cool?" And like he really didn't know what to say, because if he did, but but you know, I definitely feel it from my dad's side, and I know when I was growing up, even when I was like 13, like. Older guys would be like, "Hey, where you going? Where are you? Where your friends going?
Catcalling.
You trying to come with
like
us?"
12
And I would be like, "I'm 13," and they're like, "All right, if you don't tell, I won't." Just like so,
like it's okay.
Yeah. So I feel like it was just important for us to even have girlfriends to just like look out for each other.
Yeah.
You know, so I definitely feel like that's definitely a problem for us.
Yeah.
You just have to grow up a lot faster, and you're just hip to the game. I feel like we learn about men and more of like the dangers of men at a younger age, and I feel like that can affect us whenever we're older, because now we're just looking for the red flags, looking for destructive behavior, and that's not healthy. I think when you start going into an older relationship, or we're always on like attack mode, always on defense mode, like what are your intentions? Because we're so used to overprotecting ourselves because of things that we saw with our sisters or our friends, or we know someone who got pregnant when they were 15, and you know, so I just feel like it definitely made us grow up a lot faster. We had to mature and we had to watch our backs. So it took away a bit of our innocence, for sure.
I swear.
That's not fair.
I remember I went to the mall. I was probably 16 going on 17. Went to the mall. It's in the summer, hot as hell. I have to get a new bathing suit every year. I got one. It was basic. It wasn't nothing like, you know, crazy, something all skimpy. It was just a basic 2-piece. I brought it home, and my mom looked in the bag. She was like, "Oh no, what the hell is this? Like, no, you're taking it back." I'm like, "It's just the bathing suit.
Yeah.
What's wrong with?" I was not even fully developed.
But we see white girls always wearing
there's
two
little
pieces,
booty, little shorts. Oh no, like I would have gotten like my ass handed to me if I would dare to walk outside in little tiny shorts or a little tank top or like the hoop earrings. I never understood how that could be sexualized until I got that from my mom. Like, don't wear like bright red lipstick. Like, you know, I don't know.
Because like black girls, maybe we also get our curves a little bit earlier.
True.
So, you know, we start looking like women maybe a little bit earlier than the white girls. So that's kind of another reason why we have to be super protective. Yeah. So
it's unfortunate that, you know, it has to be like that, but it's just
the reality
world that we live in. Tell you the basics, like
celibacy.
Yeah. Wear condom. I don't know. Just all the basics that they don't prepare you for things like I'm trying to think. I don't know. Like, I don't know. They just don't prepare you as much as they try to. I feel like they heavily try to base it off of the book aspect part of it, but not like the real world life experience. Like, you're just like, you know, there's Adam and Eve, and you know, you see what happened when Adam and Eve got together. Like, you know, they're not really giving you real world experiences to really help the learner, like, just, you know, learn about what they
really modern. Yeah, they don't modernize it
at all.
They're using the same tapes from, you know, 20, 30 years ago.
Like, what the hell?
And then they're surprised whenever 14, 15-year-olds are getting pregnant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, you can't just say, you know, like one semester out of your whole, you know, adolescent life about
sex ed.
Like one semester with like, okay, wear a condom, be celibate, wait till marriage. But in reality, girls are losing virginities younger and younger. And, you know, I think we also just need to teach the boys more so about respect, boundaries, consent. So I feel like that's a lot of the reason why younger girls do get pressured into having sex a lot younger. And, you know, how to deal with sexual trauma. I feel like we don't talk about that enough. And,
resources.
And we don't know where to go if something like that happens. Like, and I think schools need to do a better job at having like a safe space to talk about like open topics like that, instead of being like, here's what you do, here's what you don't do, because it's a lot more than black and white.
And I think they should also not focus so much on the fact that women are the only victims.
Yeah. It creates like some type of
predators as well. Yeah. So like people are always looking out for John and Jimmy to do wrong when they should really be looking out for Sally and Hannah, you know? Like but
I think that the big thing is that education is just there's such a huge gap. Like it's like, oh, like this is sex. This is when you do it, when you're married. Nothing in between. And it's like, okay. And then you go in and you're like, is it okay to do this or is it okay to do that? And then sometimes, unfortunately, you do things and by the time it happened and you regret it, you didn't know about it. You didn't know what it was. And then, I mean, that situation and that opportunity, I mean, there's no going back from it.
I first got introduced to porn when I was super young, like way too young, like maybe like 10.
How?
I'm
sorry, is that direct?
No, that's
I was curious. I want to know how you found it.
I just, like back in the days before there was like, HBO.
There was DVDs.
Or like DVDs or like magazines, and you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, what is this?
And and then pornography on your computer, because we have like free range computers whenever we were teenagers. So me and my friends like used to like.
I remember AOL where they'd be like ASL, like age, sex, location, and then that automatically meant you were about to get some dick pics. Like, and I would immediately log off because my parents would like track all my shit. I would never go in the chat room.
No one's ever asked for a dick pic. Okay.
Nobody's ever asked for a dick pic. Nobody will, like, I wish guys would understand that.
Please.
Never in my life have I been like, oh, I wonder what this looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm good on that.
Then,
all right, but anyway, sorry, we got a little off subject.
And then you just start feeling like if you don't look like those girls or you don't behave like those girls, no one's gonna, want to have sex with you, or you're not gonna have a good sexual relationship. I know now, a lot of guys think, everyone's into the same type of thing. Like, not everyone wants to be, like, choked and, like, bam, bam, bam. Like, not everybody likes that. Like,
guys definitely don't be knowing. They need to, I feel like I know for a fact that, like, some of the people that I have been in a relationship with and have done, had sex, let me be mature. I was about to say done stuff, But, like, you can just tell by the way that they have sex, and like, I think that when you grow and you mature, it's more of like a loving and a nurturing thing. Not to say that it can't be fast or slow paced. There's just more to it than like, you can tell when you watch something and you're just like, okay, this is how they did it. I'm going to do it like that. But there's like, it doesn't feel good for either of you. And it's like, why are you doing this? Because that's what you saw and that's all you know. So like, yeah, I think that in that sense, I think I caught on early as well. Like, whenever I watched it, like, okay, this isn't real. Like, there's no way you could be that enthusiastic this whole time for, like, an hour. Like, I know it wasn't, like, amazing. Yeah, so.
Slow motion, trailer.
And for the record, nobody likes cum shots, okay?
Oh my God.
No one likes that.
I don't think we need to.
I'm sorry.
Right. So I guess
nobody likes that.
Somewhat to get back on track.
I'm sorry.
I mean, that's definitely.
I was first introduced to porn.
Sex on camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
On camera.
Is that better?
Absolutely no idea what the hell it was. I remember I went over to my god sister's house when I was really young. She was like, "Yeah, there's something I have to tell you." I was like, "I'm like, what?" She's like, "My dad has a sickness." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Your dad has a sickness?
Yeah. So she's like, "Come here." So we go over to the computer, and she's like, "Beep beep boop," and then she brings up this site called Indian Sex Girls, and I'm like, 9 years old, and I'm
that
like,
is very specific.
I just remember it, because it's like, who the hell wouldn't remember that?
It's like fishing girls. I'm like, sorry.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I'm just like, what the hell is this? Like, what is going on? And she's like, yeah, my mom found out. Now they're going to therapy. And all this stuff is going around, and I'm like, what is porn? Like, I honestly didn't know. I lacked so much knowledge in sex itself. But I mean, now being the sexually liberated woman I am, I'm very comfortable in my sexuality and just sex in general. So like, I have no problem talking about sex.
Yeah, I learning school.
Yeah, but porn for me, I can't get down with it for some reason.
I know, I
just don't enjoy watching. Like, I enjoy having sex, but I don't enjoy watching other people have sex. And
I feel that. I mean, I'm back and forth about it. I guess I'm in the middle of like both of you.
Yeah,
like
sometimes
sometimes I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh, I'm disgusted with myself. And then sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm single in this city. Look, the pickings are slim. So
you can learn a little something.
I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like I'm a woman, and like if that's what it takes, like there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But at the same time, sometimes I'm just like, it ain't for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't get mad either. Like, I remember my ex used to watch porn. I don't care. Sometimes it's just like,
it's just
something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like whatever.
We'll watch it together.
No. I was thinking about when my mom told my grandpa that she was going to have a baby with like a black guy. And my grandparents were like, at the time, like, honestly, weren't trying to have it. And like, so I'm just thinking of like back then, there were still issues like that going on. So like, imagine thinking about partners. So now, absolutely, you could be less judged. But I mean, it depends on, honestly, you put yourself out on a pedestal. If that's the information you put out there, you put yourself out there to be judged. Yeah. So like, you have to be fair with yourself as well. I mean, I know what I do. I know what I'm happy with. So I don't feel like I need to tell everybody, but I also feel comfortable having conversations like this.
Right.
So
you have to have like really thick skin. But it's like I'm contradicting myself saying that, because like society, even over the last like 5 years, has changed drastically. And so many more things are accepted now than it was back then. Yeah. So it's like, if you are, like I said, in my case, sexually liberated. Like, I like those sex. What the fuck? Like, the world is still going around. Like, it doesn't matter. You just really, at the same time, you have to have thick skin, because there are going to be people who are going to be judging you. Excuse me. You know, perceiving you to be a certain type of person, carrying yourself a certain type of way.
But then, like, why even tell that information to people like that? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't even say, like, you know, like, my friends and my family and the people I feel close and, like, I could share that intimate conversation with. People be, I mean, it's 2019. People be posting their body count on Instagram. Like, I mean, everything's public knowledge at this point, but, like,
people be posting their own pornos on Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I feel like as far as judgment, I mean, there's always going to be judgment. I feel like right now, the standards are set lower. Yeah. So it's less judgment for that reason, but not less on the scale of like, people are always going to talk.
But if you're comfortable with yourself and you still respect yourself, then...
I mean, no matter how comfortable I am, I'm not going to tell people like all my information.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be like,
I mean, we also live in the age of the liberated woman. We don't have to get married, you know, and have a family whenever we're in our 20s, you know. So I feel like one good thing about being in the age of liberated woman is like, since we're not getting married when we're like 19, 20, 21, we can date a plethora of guys and find out what we like. Yeah. We can, you know, test the waters before we get married, or we can, because like, you might have a kink that you never knew about, that, you know, and now that you're married, you're never going to be able to explore that. So so you have to find out.
Why can't you explore that if you're married?
Because if your husband's not into it, what are you going to do?
Then we going to have to come to a happy medium.
I feel very uncomfortable speaking to my parents, and it's not that she doesn't create a safe space for me. She does, but like, I just feel like anytime I'm telling my mom something, she's like, "What were you doing?" Or "Who were you with?" As far as my mom's concerned, I am a holy woman of God. And I'm not. I mean, I feel like she knows that I'm out there, but we don't really talk about it. And I feel like if you feel that way to talk about your parents about sex, more power to you. But for me, it's just too uncomfortable.
It's just like,
what do you talk to them about though?
I mean, I'm not gonna tell my mom about like a blowjob or like.
No, I meant like I
that.
wonder what like people talk whenever they do. I mean, I don't talk to my parents about sex. The extent is like, okay, hope you're being safe. Bye.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much it. It's never been like I told like I don't know. I don't think I've ever done it. Like, I don't think I've ever, I mean, like, yeah, it's just
cringy.
always been.
It's so cringy.
Just be safe, that's it.
I've never gotten the actual talk with my mom, but it's embarrassing as hell because I used to journal every day. When I was younger.
God, that's how I got caught.
And for some reason,
sorry.
For some unknown damn reason.
They went through your stuff. Why did they do that?
No, my mom was dropping me off at my...
Put it somewhere.
My mom was dropping me off at my cousin's house, and I had my journal of the month with me. And for some reason...
Oh, you wrote in a whole journal for a month?
I left that shit under her seat.
Oh my God.
In her car.
But still, she shouldn't have read it, though.
Yeah,
that's what, like, I'm getting mad for you.
Yeah, oh no, I was livid. So she calls me and she's like, "So is there anything you want to tell me?" And I'm like,
"I hate that question."
No.
That
you gonna tell me
that
open-ended
question.
What the hell are you talking about? Just tell me what you're talking about. So you sure there's nothing you want to tell me? No, I'm not just gonna rat out on myself.
Like a lot of stuff.
How you're talking about. And then that's how she found out I lost my virginity. But yeah, like.
That is so crazy. And you know what? That's like these conversations are so good because it creates like a I don't know if normality is like the word, but like it just like I literally had that same exact experience and you just don't think like people are out here experiencing the same things as you. And like literally I went over to my friend's house to sleep over and I actually lied and said I slept over that friend's house whenever that happened. And I wrote about it, and then I was at that same friend's house. So when my mom read it, she immediately came and picked me up to make sure I was actually where I said I was. And then she didn't tell me anything in the car. She was just like, "I can't believe you." She's like crying and like making this big deal. And I'm like, "Wait, I'm like, what's going on, Mom?" And she's like, "I just can't believe you would do this. Like, it's my birthday month." It's your birthday month. What's it? It was in October. I was like, okay, Mom, like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, you're on punishment, like, indefinitely. Like, she's like 6 months. Oh my God. Taking all that. I started really crying. She came in my room and started taking my TV and my stuff, and she had never done that before. She always talks about it. But anyways, that's crazy that,
same thing.
No,
I guess like side note, don't write about losing your virginity in your journal unless you have one of those old school 90 ones where I have the lock on it.
I feel more comfortable now that I'm older. Yeah. But when I was like, you know, I do. When I was like 19. Like, even if I didn't like something, I'm like, oh, well, maybe this is just the way that sex is. And maybe I'm not going to like it every time. But now that I'm older.
Now they're just doing it wrong.
And I've had, like, different partners. I'm like, yo, he was trash. Yeah. Or, like. Yes. And you can tell, because whenever you're younger, you don't really know when someone's bad at sex because you don't really have anything to compare it to.
And that shit hurts.
Yeah, sometimes it hurts. But now I know it's not supposed to.
I didn't want to have sex when I was younger because that shit just like, because people didn't know what they were doing. It just hurt. It was like, all right, get off of me.
But you know, now I'm much more open because I feel like we're getting older and I'll be damned if I'm serving whack dick for the rest of my life. I just won't do it. And you know what? I need someone who's going to be open with things that I like, whether it's playing with toys, whether it's maybe you like to dress up, I don't know, just like little things like that, where I feel like if your partner isn't even open to talking about a sexual relationship, you really don't have much business having sex with them at all, because are they really respecting you as a person to know what exactly you like, or are they just fucking you to fuck you? And you know, it's from for respect of the person. Like, why would I want to have sex with someone who I know that that they don't like what I'm doing. What's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point of that? And now that I feel like we're more mature, like I'm 24, you know, I feel more comfortable talking about it because I'm not as embarrassed as I used to be. You know, because before it's like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. And now it's like, we're grown. This is gonna happen. Like, let's talk about this.
Yeah, communication is. I think that's what it really leads back to with a lot. Like, I feel like that's the most important thing. Is like I need to feel like I'm being heard and respected. Like you said, like
especially
if I feel
like porn culture.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like for like me and my ex to say like me and him were together for like probably like 2 years. Like if I didn't like something, he wanted to know that I didn't like it. He wouldn't just be like I just be thinking about how when I didn't like it at first and I was shy to say something, he was like, well, I don't want to be giving you head for 30 minutes and you don't like it. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be down there doing it, like doing that anyway. So like that shows that you care. And I think like communication is just key to everything. But yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I've been real close to ending relationships because of sex. If I'm having sex with you, look, I'm getting mad just thinking about it. That because it's selfish, because it's super selfish.
It's a very intimate
if
thing,
I'm having sex with you every time and I don't come and you don't ask if I come and you don't care, like, then we don't need to be together. Like, sorry, like, you don't care about how I feel. You don't care about if I'm taken care of in any type of way. And that's one of the ways that a relationship needs to be taken care of. Like you said, we're adults now. We have needs. We have wants. Like, you should want to know how to communicate so that everybody, like, has their different love languages. Like, some people like quality time. Some people like gifts. Some people like this or that. So you need to take the time to figure out what that is and tailor it to me, because that's what shows that you care. And that's the difference between, like, sitting there on some porn, like, you know, just smashing and smashing. Like, okay, do you want to actually enjoy this or not? So, yeah, that's definitely key.
I feel like the most important thing is, if you're having a sexual relationship, is to make sure that there's a big consent between both partners. That's number one. Number two, don't do anything that you're uncomfortable with, and don't be afraid to say that you don't like something, because if you're having a bad sexual relationship or you're having a bad situation, there's really no point in you having that if you're not getting any kind of fulfillment. And if you're with like you said, Syndey, like if you're with someone who doesn't care whether or not you get to where you need to be, then that person doesn't really respect you, and they're very selfish and they're worried about themselves. And I feel like because like guys get to come all the time, and I've read things where it's like only so many women, you know, have an orgasm, or a lot of women are faking it. I'm not about to fake it, because why? To make your ego bigger?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do that. And I feel like, especially with a lot of young girls, they're too nervous to say something. But if you start demanding what you want, usually they you know, take it pretty well. And they're willing to work on it with you. Men.
Usually men take it well when you try to tell them.
Men take.
When you try to explain to them what you want.
Yeah, like if you're like, hey, I like this, or I like that, or maybe can you not do that? It helps both of you guys progress sexually better to where you're good at something. Like you're like, because part of like sex is very do it yourself, teach it yourself. But you know, if you're very open and communicative with your partner, I feel like you can teach each other things, and you know, you can build a much healthier sexual relationship. And if you do it when you're younger, it'll be easier to progress into a healthy sexual relationship when you're like older, like in your late 20s and 30s and so on.
Yeah.
I would say just being comfortable.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
Knowing yourself before you take that step to be intimate with someone else. Like, it's all about knowing what you, like you said, what you like, what you don't like, how far you can go. You just got to be very comfortable and, you know, level-minded in it, because sex, people just tend to think it's like, oh, it's nothing, but it's actually something, you know, really big. At least I think
it's important.
Yeah, it's part of how humans and
are made.
Creatures in general, like, just continue, you know, life. But yeah, you just got to be really comfortable and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I feel like sex just in itself for like females, I think my perspective on it very early was just like to please like whoever you're with, and it wasn't very much so for myself. And I think I didn't really experience that until I was a young adult. It just didn't click. It was like, oh, this is, you know, so I could be with this person, or so this person will still be in this relationship. I think like knowing that you're worthy of stepping back from a situation or saying like, you know, I want this for me, and being comfortable with that. I think that's very important, and just knowing that like if you're not comfortable with something, you can walk away from it.